warm welcome to Power News, your window to the power sector. I'm Juhi Rajput. Let's begin with the top stories. PMO proposes SPVs to speed up infrastructure projects. PM reiterates support for nuclear energy. Delhi CM assesses fuel shortage in Bhavana power plant. Reliance Power seeks CAG rewrite on Sasan coal gains. CESC acquires 2 hydropower projects in Arunachal Pradesh. TCI to hold talks with Coal Ministry this month. CIL launches more liberal R&R policy. Rupee hit, power producers seek stable gas prices now. And Bihar should develop renewable energy clusters. Well, those were the top stories of the week. Let's move to our next section, quick updates. Almost 20% of India's total installed power generation capacity has been shut down due to various reasons, forcing utilities to cut supplies to factories and households. Southern states such as Tamil Nadu, where the power deficit is as high as 23.5%, are facing prolonged blackouts. Haryana, where 1200 megawatt of capacity is shut due to equipment failure, and Madhya Pradesh faced a deficit of 15 to 24% in April, well before the peak summer demand. Almost 35,000 megawatt capacity plant has been shut down this month. Of this, about 25,000 megawatt has been closed under forced outage, which means these power plants have been shut down due to unforeseen reasons relating to lack of fuels, reluctance of state utilities to buy expensive power, technical disruptions or damages in plant equipment. Welspun Group, the country's largest solar power developer, has won a 125 megawatt solar photovoltaic project in Madhya Pradesh. The company bid rupees 8.05 per unit to back the 125 megawatt out of 200 megawatt that was auctioned by the Madhya Pradesh government. The project will cost around $225 million and will be set up on barren tract of land in Mandsaur and Nemoch district of Madhya Pradesh in 18 months. The company also plans to set up solar photovoltaic farms with a total capacity of 100 megawatt in Andhra Pradesh and has signed agreement to set up 500 megawatt of wind power projects in the state. Despite being in a better position to get fuel from domestic sources by virtue of being a state-owned company, NTPC faced higher fuel cost. NTPC is expected to consume 164 million tons of coal in current fiscal. Of this, the company is planning to import 16 million tons of coal. Though it is looking to source more coal from its captive mines, but the mine it is currently developing at Jharkhand is expected to come on stream only in the next fiscal. Thus, its capacity addition plans could go awry. The company was able to add only 58% of the targeted capacity in the last fiscal. For current fiscal, it is aiming to commission 4,160 megawatt. The Coal Ministry has asked Coal India to sign the new format fuel supply agreement with power units coming up between January 2012 and March 2015. The directive came in response to a clarification sought by the miner on whether it should sign supply pacts with new thermal plants on the terms mentioned in the existing contracts or the new agreements. The new plants will require about 170 million tons of additional coal a year. Moreover, Coal India missed its revised 2011-12 production target, achieving only 435.84 million tons against a projected 447 million tons. The 32,000 crore Adani Group is gearing up to bid for power transmission line development projects, a segment so far dominated by 2 private sector companies that have bagged most of the projects. Traditionally, state-run Power Grid Corporation of India has been the developer of interstate transmission lines, and private companies would be contractors to them. But with the government opening up the sector to private developers, companies are keen to participate in these projects as the total investment in the sector in the next 5 years is pegged at around 2 lakh crores. Power consumers in the island city who get power from the Brehan-Mumbai Electric Supply and Transport Undertaking will have to pay increased tariff from June 1st. The tariff revision is being implemented after 1.5 years since the earlier tariff revision. And also in the previous 2 tariff orders, the average tariffs were reduced by around 6% and 15% respectively. Well, it's time to take a quick break, but there's a lot more on the other side. Stay tuned.
फिर बिजली गुल, अब तो 2-4 घंटे की छुट्टी। गांव का केबल ही घटिया है।
देश में बिजली उत्पादन का लगभग 40% भाग दोषपूर्ण, घटिया केबल और बिजली की चोरी में व्यर्थ चला जाता है। क्यों ना एक ऐसा पावर केबल चुने जो बिजली बचाए और शॉर्ट सर्किट का जोखिम घटाए।
सर्वोत्तम केबल रवीन केबल, प्राइम कैब, रवीन केबल्स उत्पादन।
To turn movements into a ballet, you need a choreographer. To turn products into integrated solutions, you need Larsen & Toubro. L&T's engineering expertise, manufacturing capability, and application experience by introducing new levels of pace, performance, and convenience at major utilities around the country. Integrated solutions in electrical and automation from Larsen & Toubro.
Northeastern Electric Power Corporation Limited, a Schedule A corporation under the Ministry of Power, playing a significant role in the integration and efficient development of hydroelectric and thermal power projects in the central sector, benefiting life, benefiting people. NEEPCO, contributing and empowering the life of Northeast region.
जल से जल तक, मेगा वाटर से मेगावाट्स तक, SJVN लिमिटेड।
Welcome back. Get ready for higher electricity bills. The Power Ministry will soon allow developers to pass on the volatility in fuel prices to the customers. The government will make this provision as part of the soon-to-be released bidding documents. All projects under 12 plan will have this benefit.
Till now, only NTPC was allowed to pass on fuel prices to the consumers as it operates under a regulated regime. Private players have been acquiring projects through tariff-based competitive bidding, but they have been crying foul over volatility in fuel prices. For 2011-12, NTPC charged around Rs 2.96 a unit to discoms. The end consumer price averaged between Rs 4 and Rs 5 a unit. In the case of Tata Power's Mundra project, the tariff is levelized at Rs 2.26 a unit, a price at which they had bid in 2007, despite huge volatility in imported fuel price. The end consumer price is at Rs 2.40 a unit. Projects of over 50,000 megawatt capacity are at present under construction by private developers. The private sector is likely to add about 52% of the total capacity in the 12th plan. The private sector has grown from 11.6% in 2006 to 30% as of date. They have invested more than Rs 1 lakh crore and have committed an expenditure of Rs 2 lakh crore up to the first 2 years of the 12th plan.
Private players have been saying that to cover the risk associated with high fuel prices, the government should incorporate the provisions in the relevant articles of power purchase agreement.
With no tapering coal linkage in sight, the developers of these projects won't have the option of getting coal at lower notified prices from Coal India until production commences at their captive mines. These projects are expected to be commissioned at various points of time during the 12th plan period. Power Ministry says that these plants can meet their fuel requirements through e-auction or imports on a temporary basis. CIL's e-auction price is nearly double the notified price charged by it for the supply of coal under fuel supply agreements, while the price of imported coal is more than 3 times the notified price. However, projects like Mahan, which are being developed through tariff bidding route, might not get to revise tariffs to accommodate an increase in fuel costs and may feel an impact on their bottom line.
These projects had sought tapering fuel linkage, citing their difficulty to meet their projects' fuel requirements from allocated blocks due to delay in mining work. Coal Ministry has rejected these developers' requests, saying the CIL has already issued letters of assurance for projects worth 80,000 megawatt, where it is obligated to sign FSAs with developers for assured supply of coal during the 12th plan.
As many as 18 upcoming power projects with an aggregate capacity of over 25,000 megawatt might be forced to violate the tariff commitments and seek a much higher price from consumers. This is because the Coal Ministry has rejected a request from the developers of these projects for assured coal linkages, and they might have no other option but to resort to the open market for fuel. The projects to be affected include Essa Power's Mahan, Adani's Tiroda and GMR Energy's Kamlanga stations. Well, to talk in detail on this topic, we are joined by Dr. Pavan Singh, Director, PTC India Financial Services Limited, and Professor Atmanand from MDI, Gurgaon. Good evening and welcome to Power News. Dr. Singh, the Power Ministry will soon allow developers to pass on the volatility in fuel prices to customers and will make this provision as part of the soon-to-be-released bidding document. Though this would be a good move on the part of power producers, but people will have to pay more against their power bill. How do you see this move?
See, it is very important whatever service is provided in infrastructure sector, the true cost is reflected in the tariff. Now, if a IPP producer is incurring a particular cost for producing power, that should be reflected in the tariff. So, this is a good move, because ultimately what will happen is that if the producer has to absorb the fuel increase, he will not be able to absorb it, because in any case in our power tariff there is a very little room, a very little cushion for return to the producer, and most of the pricing is based on a cost plus model. So, the increase in fuel prices necessarily have to be borne by the consumer. So, if there is more capacity added, the whatever increase will be there on account of fuel adjustment charges or fuel increase, that would be offset by the overall availability of power in the power exchange.
Till now, only NTPC was allowed to do so as it operates under a regulated regime. Private players have been acquiring projects through tariff-based competitive bidding, but they have been crying foul over volatility in fuel prices. Dr. Singh, do you think this would bring a relief for the IPPs?
Yeah, certainly. See, we have moved from a regulated tariff regime to a competitive based tariff bidding. Now, this model at the face of it looked very attractive, because it was felt that the cost of power which is going to be supplied through competitive tariff based route will be the cheapest. But eventually what had happened is that practically it created some issues, and many of the bidders who had bidded through competitive tariff bid found that the fuel which they have, particularly imported coal wherever they had to bring, the prices of that had escalated considerably, and it was impossible for them to absorb it, and it is almost a force majeure situation. So, eventually that necessarily needs to be passed on.
Mr. Singh, would this provision be applicable to the upcoming projects where PPA has been already signed with the DISCOM?
See, there is no clarity as such, because at this stage only an announcement, in principle announcement has been made. The nitty-gritty of the scheme will be seen as we go forward. But ideally speaking, we should have level playing field both for the power producer who are already there in the field and power producer eventually who are going to come in the new bidding document. So, and see, it's very important that even the existing power producers, if they have to bear the cost of increase in fuel prices, that necessarily must be allowed to be passed in tariff, because eventually if it is not allowed to be passed in tariff, these producers will hold back their investments. Now, if this is not allowed to be happened, either wherever investments have happened, that will become non-performing assets, or where investments have not happened, the financial institutions and banks will not come with the investment.
Professor Atmanand, as many as 18 upcoming power projects with an aggregate capacity of over 25,000 megawatt might be forced to violate their tariff commitments and seek a much higher price from consumers. This is because the Coal Ministry has rejected a request from the developers of these projects for assured coal linkage, and they might have no other option but to resort to the open market for fuel. This situation would only result in further hike in power tariff, which ultimately will be passed on to the consumer. What do you have to say about it?
Actually, in our country, power should be made available to the end-use consumers at affordable rate, and there can be no compromise so far as this issue is concerned. Now, for that matter, if the excess cost in the power purchase is being passed on to the consumers, then this is something which is not justified from the point of view that consumers are already hard pressed due to high rate of inflation and the high cost of economy today in our country. Now, we have to think about as to what are the problems in the area of the domestic coal mining, what are the problems in the areas of the captive coal mining, and why is it that the domestic coal prices are much lower than those of the imported coal prices. There are many problems in the area of the coal mining. The major problem is the evacuation problem in the coal minings, and captive coal blocks bidding process also is not very transparent, and that has to be looked into. There are many ways by which we can reduce the cost of supply of power to the end use consumers. So I don't agree that the increase in the cost of power should be passed on to the end use consumers. We must develop some kinds of shock absorbers.
CIL's e-auction price is nearly double the notified price charged by it for the supply of coal under fuel supply agreements, while the price of imported coal is more than 3 times the notified price. The only option for cheaper power generation is through domestic coal.
The coal reserves today in our country is quite ample. Even then, there has been a shortfall of 10%, which was met through the import of coal. This shortfall in the coal will increase further to 10.5% in the next fiscal year. So far as the availability aspect is concerned, we have tremendous shortage of coal for the power companies. Shortage of coal will be further hampered because much of the coal blocks have been put into no-go areas as designated by the Ministry of Environment, over which CIL has no control. And the supply of coal will be further hampered due to the reason that the evacuation of majority of the coal mines is a major problem. I would like to give 3 solutions. Number 1, that the entire captive block mining should be opened and the bidding process should be more competitive, and all the prospective blocks should be put into the bidding process. And number 2, I would like to say here that the pricing of coal by the Coal India Limited should be done on the basis of the cost formula. The same cost formula which was suggested by the Shankaran committee 4 years back should be recommended.
Thanks everyone for joining me in Power News. It's time for another short break. Keep watching Power News.
When you are determined to be a winner, your desire to conquer is fueled by the power of your instinct. With eyes set on the target, you create your own path. Your determination inspires you to never give in. Then emerges a creator of a winning journey, blazing a trail for others to follow. We are Jindal Power Limited.
आज फिर मशीन बंद हो गई।
मशीन तो ठीक है, बिजली धोखा दे गई, केबल ही घटिया है।
मानो या न मानो, आज भी कई औद्योगिक क्षेत्रों में बिजली की कमी के कारण हजारों लोगों को खाली हाथ घर लौटना पड़ता है। तो क्यों न एक ऐसा पावर केबल चुने जो बिजली बचाए, बिजली का घाटा रोके और शॉर्ट सर्किट का जोखिम घटाए। चुने रवीन केबल्स।
प्राइम कैब रवीन केबल्स उत्पादन।
Welcome back. Chief Minister N. Kiran Kumar Reddy has assured builders to resolve the ongoing sand crisis in the state within a week. Speaking at the All India Managing Committee and General Council meeting of the Builders Association of India, Reddy said that his government realized the gravity of issue and is working towards sorting it out at the earliest.
Andhra Pradesh state government will come out with a new sand mining policy very soon, putting an end to the problems being faced by the construction and infrastructure industry in the state, said Chief Minister N. Kiran Kumar Reddy at the All India General Council meeting of the Builders Association of India.
And I think in the next week or so, we have already sorted out all the basic modernization works where they are time bound and where water is going to be a key and season is going to be a key for these projects. We have sorted out all the issues, and I think next a week or so we are getting in a new system where this sand problem will be sorted out totally.
Vexed by the frequent raising of prices by the cartel of cement companies, the Builders Association of India is contemplating setting up a cement factory in the state. Speaking at the inauguration of All India Managing Committee and General Council meet, its National President B. Shanaiya said that the Builders Cement Factory in the state would be useful to the entire South. On the proposal of Builders Association of India to set up its own cement manufacturing industry to break the cement companies' cartel, Mr. Reddy said that BAI will get all possible support if it gives some stakes to the state government in the cement industry and also supplies cement to the government on cost-to-cost basis.
We are concerned about the development of the state, and you being a partner of the state, we try to see that we have a situation where it is both are the winners, the state of Andhra Pradesh, the people of Andhra Pradesh, and the Builders Association or builder contractors.
Lauding the efforts of BAI towards skill development, Chief Minister said that his government had allocated Rs 777 crore in this year's budget for skill upgradation and training, and a portion of it would also be diverted to National Academy of Construction for skill development in construction sector.
I think we are training about 50 to 60,000 people now. I have requested them to scale it up to 1,00,000 of people, training 1,00,000 of people, and whatever is required for that, we are ready to give it, because this is part of our skill development program where we want to employ about 5,00,000 people in the private sector, including the construction sector. This budget I have put in 777 crores for skill development. I think we can look at giving some amount to NAC for developing it.
Over 450 delegates of BAI from across the country participated in the session. It was also attended by Andhra Pradesh Minister for Panchayat Raj K. Jana Reddy and Minister for Housing Captain N. Uttam Kumar Reddy, among others.
The development of adequate infrastructure to achieve higher GDP growth is a priority of the government. Despite slippages from targets, investments in infrastructure reported a compounded annual growth rate of 18% over the last 3 years. The construction sector accounts for nearly 45% of the total investment in infrastructure and is expected to be the prime beneficiary of the surge in infrastructure investment in the near to medium term. The importance that the Government of India places on bridging the country's acute infrastructure deficit is evident from the twofold increase in the planned outlay for this sector in the 12th plan. To talk on this subject in detail today, we have with us Mr. Sunil Sapru, President, Liugong, India. Mr. Sapru, how do you see the growth in Indian infrastructure sector in last few years, and what are the major issues and challenges which could hamper the anticipated growth target for 12th five-year plan?
The National Highway Development Program, under which envisages the ambitious growth of around 13,000 kilometers by building up a 4 to 6 lane projects across the country. This has given a flip to the construction industry, which has augmented with having a state-of-art equipments availability. This has also taken up the industry to take up a trained manpower and development of the skillness of the people to have an adaptability to the international standards. But there are certain issues on this. If you look at the basic raw materials, like we talk about the steel, cement, the cost inputs have gone up. With the result, the project cost has also gone up, which has a major concern in the industry, construction industry. Also, the growing problems in having the land acquisitions in place, slowdown in the awarding of the contracts, climatic conditions, political interferences, and also the governmental department have the right of way for the access of the projects and the interferences of the NGOs having display. These all complexes have resulted in a cumbersome process in the development of the construction industry.
The expected spend on infrastructure is nearly $1 trillion in the 12th five-year plan, and around 50% is expected to be brought by private sector. In present scenario, how far this looks achievable to you?
The investment is almost double what we have envisaged in the 11th five-year plan. That's $1 trillion. And the private participation is in the equity has to be taken up, which has been to have to be taken up in the mature debt ratio, which the government is looking at that how to get into the private equity in place and having the complete funding in the projects which can take a next leap. And we augment that thing what we have envisaged in our 12th five-year plan. In the 11th five-year plan, there were 36% of the investment from the private equity partners, which looking at the projects to bound to go up in leap and bounds, and it is taking up forward in a direction that private participation and the government regulatory taking into the improvisation fact and looking at how to get it the infrastructure in place and improvise the GDP in the next five plan. We are sure about and quite optimistic that it's likely to go up, and the private equity participation with the flexibility in giving the foreign direct investment to come in India. There is lot of regulatory being processed in the place, and we are sure that the government is looking into all this and easing out all the processes so that there will be maximum private participation.
What growth prospects you see for construction equipment industry in 12th five-year plan?
If you look at that, all these projects which are bound to happen in the what the government has announced from time to time, and is a need of an hour, which looks India as a powerhouse in the next years to come. The growth in the industry is looking at from that currently it is at 65,000 units. It's bound to go up to double the figure, almost 120,000 units a year. And there's what the industry expects that it would be approximately 20 to 25% of CAGR, which will be the cumulative compounding annual growth rate for the construction industry. If we look at the investment in the construction equipment, it's approximately around 30,000 crores, which is bound to go in the next 5 years plan, almost the double of it. And so in the construction industry also we emphasize that this kind of investment is in the segment. That's why all the manufacturers are investing in their improvement in their facilities, also having the skilled manpower in place, also having the latest gadgets in play, gadgets and the instruments to take a state-of-art facility so that it will be taking care of all the requirements which are going to come in the near future.
Thanks, Mr. Sapru, for joining us in Power News.
Thank you very much.
With this, we come to an end of this edition of Power News. Keep sending us your suggestions and views at powernews@znetwork.com or call us on 011 405 60701. As always, we look forward to your feedback. Do join us next week for more news and updates. Till then, goodbye and take care.